Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Interact podcast. My name is Josh Haynam, co-founder and CEO at Interact. Today, I'm joined by Kelly, the car mom. Awesome YouTube channel and Instagram where you do reviews of cars specifically from the standpoint of parents with kids. I think it's excellent. I've watched a lot of the
Thank
videos myself. You also have a really cool quiz. So thanks for being here. And do you want to tell us really quickly how you have your quiz set up?
Yeah, so I'm a family car reviewer and I'm also a former car salesperson. So like taking families through the car selection process was something I was super passionate about. And as my audience grew, I was looking for a way to like help more people at once. And I'm still a person who like I still do personalized consultations with my audience when I can because I just love that one-on-one. But I wanted to give people like a good jumping off point. So the idea of a quiz at first sounded so daunting because I'm like, there's families that have so many different shapes and sizes. Like, how am I possibly supposed to like narrow it down into the quiz? But it after a lot of like I think internal struggles with like being able to take all my knowledge and put it into 7 questions. Um, Me and my team worked really hard to just kind of give families like a jumping off point. It's just like a really fun way for them to like start the car buying process. So it's like the number one prompt on our website, like, hey, you're here, let's start by taking the quiz. And I think the quiz, whether you agree with the end result or not, it's the first time that some of these families are like asking themselves the question. So, how long do I want to keep the car for? What kind of powertrain am I after? What's my budget? What features do I actually care about? What's a want? What's a need? And, to have all that in a very digestible quiz format has been really fun. And yeah, I mean, the quiz has been a huge lead magnet. And I just think it's a really good landing place for people who are starting the car buying process.
Yeah, that's so awesome. And I did notice that as I was going through it. I was like, oh, this made me think about things that I hadn't necessarily thought about just in the questions that you ask. It's like, oh, do you need this? Do you need this in the third row? It's like, I didn't even know
Yeah.
that I might need that. So that's a great point.
Yeah. And I think I was so nervous to do one because I didn't want people to take it as like the final say. But I don't feel like that's people my audience doesn't put as much weight in it as my fear was. Like, it's a fun thing to do, and then our landing page of the results is like, here's a choice, here's two other choices, or just go explore the entire website. So it didn't feel like the final stop on their research process, more just like the jumping off point, which is what I really have enjoyed about it.
Totally. And it's interesting that you bring that up because that's always been like a fear from our audience, especially when we get into like, we have like NASA as a customer of ours and they like don't want to lead people in the wrong direction when they're thinking about space stuff. It's like you got to be really on top of it. But it's interesting what you said, and people do kind of naturally just assume like, oh, it's just a quiz. Like it's not too serious. It's not like, oh, Kelly said I have to buy this car, so I definitely have to buy this car now. No other cars.
Right. Right. And I think that's kind of like, I mean, my audience is primarily like millennials, sorry. Now some Gen Zs as they're starting to become parents, but like we grew up in the quiz era. Like we're all
Right.
about taking our personality down to what kind of quiz we are. So it's a fun way for them to do it. And I think it's more fun than it is serious. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. And it's like directionally correct, the way that you just said. It's like, hey, this will put you in the right direction. And then maybe even if you disagree, then you have the link in there where it's like, oh, explore the other three options. And then from there, it's like explore all the options. And you have your website set up really well where you can check, 3 row minivan, 2 row, right? Like if somebody is really looking for other options, they can find it. But it's just like a nice way of engaging people. How long have you been using it?
Oh gosh, probably almost 2 years.
Okay,
Probably two
nice.
years. Um, and like I said, it took us a long time to build out because we also kind of had to select what cars we wanted to put on there because not every car's on there. So like it kind of is, and it's not even necessarily my favorite cars, but it's the cars that would be easier for people to get a certain answer for. So like it's the cars that do things really really well that are the ones that make it on the list. And that took a lot of time narrowing it down, and then also just trying to figure out like how specific we wanted to get with it. And I think that's like probably a thing that a lot of your users probably struggle with. Like, how many questions do you want to have? Because I mean, we could get so much more specific, but again, I wanted this to be something quick, fun, and snappy, and just start like asking those questions that I want you to think about through your process. So I forget how many questions we landed with. It might be like 11. or might be it's either 7 or 11. I don't, it's somewhere in between there. So it's not too many. And like, obviously, like if I was doing a consultation with somebody, I would ask them probably like 15 to 20 questions. So it's broad, which I think also gives people, it gives me some peace of mind being like, yeah, I didn't drill down too much. Just here's what we're looking at.
Right, right. Yeah, I think that's perfect. I mean, but you're right. It is the number one struggle. I always get asked how many questions should I have on my quiz, which I think what people are really asking is what you're saying. They're asking how specific does this need to be? Does it need to be a scientific analysis? And you can do that. I've worked on quizzes for some of our clients that have like 128 outcomes, and it's this crazy branching logic map, which is awesome if you do that and that works for your audience. But most of the time, that's not actually what the audience is looking for. They're just
Yeah.
looking for something simple.
And we've talked about like, so because right now we have one quiz and it's just like help us find your next car, and it's for any family to take. But we've talked about internally like doing more specific quizzes. So for example, like should you buy a full size or a mid size SUV, and like asking families that questions like should you buy a minivan or a full size SUV, and just kind of asking families like a lot more lifestyle questions. So we're not going to land on a car, but we're going to land on a type of car, which I think will be something. We're going through a website renovation right now. So I think when our new website comes out, we want to introduce more like micro quizzes within the website just to help people kind of get to their car buying decision hopefully easier.
Yeah, yeah. There's an influencer. She goes by Mrs. Dow Jones. It's a
Oh yeah.
financial advice website. She's got like different quizzes for the different categories, like saving, spending, retirement.
So
And so she has like the one main one, like you have, and then like a different one for each of the categories. I think it's a really cool setup to do it that way. So that's awesome. And I think the more you can make things interactive with people, the more they just kind of like get bought into it. And it's also like you said this at the very beginning of this conversation, it's a way to scale up what you do. Like I would imagine if you were doing consultations with every single person that wanted one, you'd just be doing consultations
yeah,
24 hours a day.
that's
Yeah. Not enough time for that. So
yeah.
it's a nice way to kind of offer that same thing.
Free, which I also like because I mean I obviously charge for my consultation, so I like having also a free service on the website, and people can take it as many times as they want as their needs change. As if they don't like the result, they can retake it and kind of find out why certain cars might work for their lifestyle.
Yeah, I think it's perfect. I think it's perfect. And you mentioned as a lead, it's a lead generator. You have it set up to capture people's email addresses, and then you have a great like newsletter that you send out. How has it been in that regard? You don't have to give exact numbers or whatever you want to give in terms of how it's actually worked. Because I know our audience is always like, well, what's the ROI?
No, it's like it's so successful. It's probably our number one like way that we get our emails right now. I kind of think like a couple of years ago, everyone was about like the free digital downloads. And like now no one gives a rip about a digital download anymore. Like, I'm sorry, if you have to make to me, like now all that content we used to have is now free because like there's just no one's going to give you your email for like your PDF workbook. Like, at least not in my opinion. I think I would just put the free content out there. But the quiz is still something that they will do. So
Yeah, yeah.
we've found that to be successful.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. If we can switch over to kind of the business side of things, and you started 2020, what was the like catalyst for jumping in and starting to hit record and do these videos?
So my family owns car dealerships, and I was selling cars, and I was pregnant with my second, and it was COVID, and I started realizing, how are all these moms like going to figure out what car they want during a pandemic with kids? Like this is so hard. And as I started thinking about, my next car with my second and just like how much more room I was going to need and like what car I was going to drive, I kind of started to realize there wasn't really anybody talking about cars from a mother's perspective. And that felt like such a hole in the market. So I looked at what I had, which was car experience, car dealership lots, and a growing family. And I was like, well, I'm just going to try to sell cars to moms. And I kind of thought it would just be like a local thing. Like I'd be the local mom in St. Louis selling the minivans to all the moms. Um, and I've always been very comfortable in front of the camera. I mean, I'm a salesperson. So like I love selling cars. So I just started taking videos just on my Instagram of like the used cars on our lot. And I'd be like, would be a great mom car. Like here, I'm going to put my car seat in. Like, oh, look at my giant Stanley fits. Like trunk can fit my stroller. This is a great buy. And the page just really took off. And I checked my insights like 30 days in, and I had a couple thousand followers. And like St. Louis wasn't even one of my top 5 cities. And so once I realized that this was not just going to be like a local thing, I really started to treat it as more like a, a I guess, as a serious business and kind of as like a platform, if you will. And it just really took off from there. And now I'm what, almost 6 years in, got like 1 million followers across all platforms. And it's also just a testament to how much moms actually do care about the cars and how much women care about the cars that they drive. And I think the industry has come a long way in recognizing that you're not just going to shove us in a minivan and tell us to move on with our life, because there are so many good family cars out there. So I'm very passionate about helping families find the right car for their family. I'm very passionate about helping women or first time car buyers navigate the car buying process. And I'm also a child passenger safety tech. So we do talk a lot about car seat safety, which is a big animal in itself. So kind of just combining all three things about buying a car, maintaining a car, keeping your kids in your car is kind of what I cover.
Yeah, it's so cool. It's so cool. I mean, it's like you notice the need based on your experience of like, talking to people all day long about cars, and you're like, nobody's talking about this subject that people really care about. That's really important. So you start talking about that, and then it connects with the audience, and then you scale up. How has that journey been going from a couple thousand people on Instagram? You're just, off the cuff shooting, a car that's on the lot. And now, I know a couple weeks ago you were at a big auto show, and like, brands are inviting you out to do stuff. Like, how has that gone in terms of like thinking about scaling and not burning yourself out? I would imagine there's like way more opportunities than you have time for. How's that experience been?
It's a good question. People always ask me, like, did you ever think it could get here? And without trying to sound like overly confident, I said, like, yeah, no, I did think it could get here. Cause like I knew it was a good idea when I started it. And as soon as I had a little bit of success, my husband's been crucial in like making me treat it like a business every step of the way. So like this was very much where I'm at, was very much like where I wanted to go. And I treated it as such. Like it was a passion project, but I also really set it up to be a business. And that's why like I'm really proud of like all the diversity that we've offered on the channel. So like we have the Instagram, we have the YouTube channel, we have our quiz, we have our email list, we have our podcast. We have so many different avenues on how we can help families navigate the car buying process. And it has, of course, it's come with like trials and tribulations. And I think when I first started, the times have changed so much, just even like the 6 years I've been doing it. Like the word influencer around the auto space like didn't exist. Like they kept I kept not getting invited to events early on because I wasn't a journalist, and this event was only for the journalists. And I'm like, okay, what is a journalist? Like I'm a journalist then. Like whatever you want to call me, I have an audience of people who listen. So now like it's totally flipped, and now like I don't want to go on the like now I'm like no, I don't want to go on the journalist trip. Like please send me on the influencer trip because that's the better trip. But it wasn't like that when I first started. And my family is my number one priority. Now I have 4 kids. So I had 4 kids in 5 years. They're all 6 and under right now. So I'm very mindful about my travel and my opportunities. But we don't plan on going anywhere anytime soon. So kind of my main focus right now is just continuing to build a really engaged audience. And we really prioritize content and resources to keep people at the car mom even when they're not car shopping, because that's obviously something that's really important. So we're always focusing on things like car maintenance, car care, but not your typical like get an oil change. Like no, like let's keep your car clean. Like here's how we can have a cleaner car as a parent. Here's the next car seat that your kid's going to need as they grow out. Here are some things to keep in your car during the winter. So we try to diversify our content to keep people around, but ultimately our goal right now is let's just keep a really engaged audience, and then as I have more time and as my team grows, we'll do more things.
I like that. It's like encompassing the whole experience of car ownership, not just buying it, like because that's just a one-time event, and then you own the car for a long time.
I'm really passionate about, families come in literally all shapes and sizes, and I am self-aware enough to know that I'm just like one mom's opinion. So I really love amplifying like other moms' voices and other women's opinions on the cars, because I think that's like the best kind of content. Like I know people like what I think about a car, but there's cars I don't like that other moms love. So we try to also do a lot of like guest reviews on our page. And when we do our website renovation, I'm really excited about the fact that we're going to have moms review their cars. So it's going to kind of be like for any women listening, it's going to kind of be like a Rent the Runway or like an Amazon review. So you'll be able to read reviews of the car, but then you'll also be able to filter by how many kids they have, how long they've had the car for, um, if they test drove and didn't buy. So you'll be able to read not just my opinion, but all moms' opinions on their car. And that's something that I'm really excited about.
That's really cool because I mean, what immediately popped in my mind, like, I love cars. So like when I was young, I have all these different cars, and you go on the forums, right? So it
Yeah.
reminds me of like those old school forums that were like the black
Totally.
and white text.
It's going to be a forum, but for the women and for the moms. So I
Yeah,
think that's going to be really big. And I'm just hoping that, and I know they will, because I think I've built a strong, engaged audience, but I need them to turn out for that, because that's where I feel like our voices get heard. And, there's so many cars being built that are doing, for lack of better words, just moronic things. Like a really big thing on my platform is we talk about ceiling vents a lot. So those are like vents that come from the ceiling instead of the back of the center console. Because if you have kids in rear facing car seats and you live in Arizona, well, there's no airflow if the vents aren't on the ceiling. And then there's some of the biggest family cars out there, like the Honda Odyssey doesn't have ceiling vents. And people are always like, what? I'm like, they had them in 2016, 2017 when they changed the bio style, they took them away. And like, Honda, are you listening? Like, put the vents back on the ceiling. Like, I have so many moms who are telling me in my DMs, like, I was going to buy the Odyssey, but then I couldn't because of the vents. So I'm excited to like take all this data and all these like opinions of these moms and put them on one place in hopes that we can, help other moms, but also like hopefully make some real change in how these cars are designed.
well, and that's going to get fed. I would imagine that's going to get fed straight into the AI because the AI loves forums. Like it loves pulling from Reddit and
Yeah.
Quora and like these ancient like it's like they pull from these old threads. So if you
Yeah.
have like up to date content, that's awesome because then it gets fed in. And then when those execs are asking ChatGPT, well, what should we do? Then it'll be in there, which is great. That's awesome.
Hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully that's the ideal situation. It's the ideal situation. So in terms of like engaging with the audience, like, and you mentioned kind of expanding the content, like, are people very proactive in DMing you? It kind of sounds like that's what it is. How are you making sure that you're staying like really in the pulse of like, oh, everybody's really worried about this new thing, or they're really thinking about this new thing?
Well, that's one of the reasons why I've never stopped my consultations. So I do like 4 consultations a week. Um, I literally charge like $50 for them. Like I totally undercharge what I could. I know I could get more, but that's not the point. I'm not in that for the money. And I like them being at an affordable price because I want to get a really good pulse on what my audience is experiencing when they're in the car shopping process. Um, and truthfully, it gives me great content ideas. Like sometimes I'm going to be like, you know what, I'm going to refund you because like this is an amazing idea. I'm going to talk about this. So that's where I find out, things my audience are caring about, like going from 2 to 3 kids, like buying a car now to keep for 7 years and then their teen's going to drive it, hybrid cars, commuter cars, dad cars. Like that's where I get a lot of different ideas. So I think my consultations have been really key in helping me stay on the pulse. And I'm also someone who reads a lot of my messages. Like I really love reading my DMs. I love asking my audience's opinion on everything. Like, what do you think of this color? Is this too loud or did they nail it? And I just like knowing, and I pull as much things as possible. So I'm always pulling like, would this stop you from buying a car? Yes or no. And I write all of these statistics down. So then when I do get, at the table, if I ever am blessed enough to have some of these conversations with the manufacturer, which I have been, I'm able to be like, well, I asked my audience and 75% said they wouldn't buy a car without ceiling vents. So like just something to think about. So that's kind of some ways that I really like to feel like I'm doing my diligence to represent as a diverse a mother's opinion as possible and not just my voice.
Yeah, I think that is so important for anybody listening to hear. You have a million followers across your channels and you're doing 4 consultations a week for $50. And it is because I would imagine you learn things from those conversations that you
Totally.
would maybe never glean from comments on Instagram. Like,
And
once
people
you
like,
get into it.
yeah, they can't believe that it's me. They're like, oh, I thought it'd be someone from your team. And I'm like, no, like it needs to be me. I want to hear it. I want to hear it.
Yeah,
What's up?
yeah, I think that's really important for people to hear.
They're
Because
really
I'm
fun.
sure there are so many people that would look at your footprint on the internet and be like, well, of course, everything's outsourced. Like, she's not doing anything herself, but you are. And that's where a lot of those great ideas come from. And like, it's also just the humility of that. Like I think it's great that you're humble and your ego is small enough where you're like, yes, I'm going to continue doing this, because I feel like that
Thank you.
that's just not the perception that you get if you just listen to common online marketing advice. It's like, oh, everything should be an AI agent and it should all
Yeah.
string together and you don't have to talk to anybody.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
No.
Ridiculous. No. um, so where do you think from here? Like I know you were talking about, longevity is the word that I kind of heard as you were talking about the future of your brand and what you want to do. But what is it that really you enjoy about this work? And like what is it that would be like an ideal situation for you 5, 10 years from now that you have established this brand?
Well, I really strive to I'd like to continue to strive to become like a household name. I think that I really can help families make a better car buying decision. So, like, and if I can get as in front of as many families as possible, that's important to me. And then in terms of like the business side, one, we want to continue to expand our content. Like, right now our primary focus is like, I mean, kids in car seats, because like that, I have kids in car seats. But I definitely see a world where we start talking about, teen drivers, first time car buyers, and kind of just continue to expand. It's called the car mom, but like it's just to help anybody who's a parent who's either a child or a parent find their next car. And then ultimately, kind of like I spoke about earlier, like I'm just really hoping to amplify more voices. I have a team of all moms who work for me, and I love having moms on my team because I personally think that women, or of course women, but I think that mothers are like the most underutilized resource in corporate America, because the talent that I have on my team, because I offer a flexible schedule, and like I get that if you have a sick day with your kid, like I have people who are so much smarter, borderline overqualified to work for me, because I can offer them a schedule that allows them to be a parent. Like I think corporate America kind of needs to wake up and offer that little bit of flexibility, because they're missing out on a huge portion of people. And like what a mom of three can get done in a 2 hour nap break, like can probably whoop what a 20-year-old intern could get done. Like they're just the most effective, smart people. So I love having moms on my team, and I want to continue to grow my team. I want to continue to amplify other voices, and I ultimately want to continue to change how cars are getting made. We've had like some really big wins, and we've finally gotten some manufacturer attention after years of really no one calling these manufacturers out on it. And I'll give you the example of, no one believes me when I tell them this, but General Motors, one of the biggest, the biggest, up until 2024, they didn't put middle head restraints in their middle seats. So, and they still don't put middle head restraints in their Chevy or in their Suburban, which are their two biggest family cars. Well, not having a middle head restraint, now it's officially the most dangerous seat in the car, because in the event of a collision, there's nothing protecting that person from whiplash. So I'm like asking Chevy, I'm like, so is this a family car? They're like, yeah. And I'm like, can you fit three across? They're like, yeah. And I'm like, well, do you put your least favorite kid in the middle? Like, there's no head restraint there. And this is your family SUV. Like, why isn't there a head restraint? Every other manufacturer puts a head restraint in their middle seat. And when they redesigned the Traverse in 2024, Chevy flew me out to Detroit, and they were very excited to show me that they added a head restraint. And I got emotional because I was like, good for you guys, but like that's going to save someone's life. Like it's like this is fun and games, and like I joke about the cup holders, but like the fact that there was such a blind spot on like not having a head restraint there, and these manufacturers, even still to this day, they put so much emphasis on the safety and on the technology that's in the first row. And as a mother, respectfully, stop it. Give it all to the second and the third row. Take away my airbag if you have to. Like our second and third rows are such afterthoughts. They don't even get crash tested until the IIHS finally started crash testing the second row to call these manufacturers out on like, your second rows aren't performing. Like you're putting all the technology in the front row and you're not putting that in the second row. And so those are some of like the really big things that I'm hoping to change and just continue to voice, that if you're going to be a family car, like you've got the second and the third row cannot be afterthoughts.
No, not at all. I mean, that's shocking to me, first of all, to realize that that is how they think about it. Also not surprising, because back in the day, one of the big car manufacturers, I don't remember which one, asked to consult with me about quiz stuff. And when I talked to their executives, I was like, you guys know nothing about your audience, like almost zero about who you're selling to. And So shocking on one hand, not shocking on the other hand, but also really powerful that you were able to push that through, because normally that would take at least a decade, probably multiple decades for anything like that to actually happen. That's cool.
Which, I mean, who knows? I mean, it might have been in the works, but bottom line is like, I will, you know, and I'm just not like, I think I'm in a very unique position because since my family owns the car dealerships, like I'm not at the mercy of the manufacturers to get cars to do my tours with. So I've always been, I'm one of the more outspoken car reviewers on the internet. And I think the other car reviewers, they don't always have a take. They just have like, they're really good at like memorizing the press kit and like giving like really beautiful videography. And I'm not as good at that, but I'm very good at looking critically at a car and just like looking at actually how a car will function, you know? And like whenever I get a press car, I mean, I'm installing 4 car seats and I'm going to drop off. So like I'm doing like the real world testing on the cars, which I just think other reviewers aren't. There's, I mean, and they also don't have my situation of, 4 kids. So it gives me a very unique perspective.
Right. Well, I think that's what people want, though. And I'm sure you are seeing this in terms of the response to your content. Like, people want an authentic take that's not sponsored by, like, speaking of the whole influencer world, like, the influencer world is wild because it's not really anybody's opinion. It's a paid advertisement. It's like,
Yeah.
I got this product for free, or somebody's paying me to review this product. Of course, you're not going to say anything negative about it. But in your situation where you're not being paid, the cars are already on the lot and you're doing the reviews from there, you're actually able to deliver, like, here is a real world experience, and here's the experience of the people on my team and in my community. Everybody's chiming in of like, how does this car actually work? That's
Mhm.
super different. Super
Yeah.
different, which people really like that. um in terms of like the logistical stuff, I think this is where like a lot of people get stuck, especially when they're like at your scale. It's like, oh, awesome, like people are responding to content, it's resonating, it's what people want. But now, like you mentioned, the website rehaul and overhaul, and getting the tech all set up and make sure that email list is functioning properly, and different automations that buy you your time back so that you can continue creating the content and doing consultation and all that kind of stuff. What's that journey been like? Because I would imagine it's a lot. Like, you're creating all this content and then you also have to build these systems at the same time.
Yeah, it's like it's not my favorite. Like, and it's so funny. I'm always like, so my sister's my business partner, and I'm always like, when did we become women in tech? Like, this is like now I have a tech startup. Like, this is just like way more than what I felt like I bargained for. And it you have to, and it's a balance I'm trying to figure out, but you have to know like where your strengths are, and like I'm the talent. Like I have to keep showing up on camera, and I do hope that one day the car mom gets to a place where it's not necessarily my face, but it's a lot of women's faces who are appearing and reviewing the car with like kind of one unified voice or different voices. We're not there right now, so it does still fully rely on me to like get up and do my content, which takes up the majority of my time. So um, I have found that like the women who work for me, like I said, they're so talented, and they're also just, the term that we say on my team is, they're just girls that get it. Like there are so many people who don't get what I do, and I've had some of those people like try to work for me as like a contractor, and like they just don't get it. And all of the people who are on my team now, they're all relationships that were built very organically. They were women reaching out, being like, "Hey, I get what you're doing. I want to help you. Here's what I can do." And I'm seriously like so grateful for them for just like coming across my desk, because I don't have to try to convince them. I don't have to try to explain it to them. So I have had some really good partners who have helped me outsource this. And in terms of, you know, like scaling, especially on the tech side, like we've just really taken our time with it, because I and I'm of the belief like, as long as I keep working on getting an engaged audience, keep my audience engaged and entertained, they will wait for me. Like they will wait for me to come up with the thing. And I've really never asked my audience of anything other than like watch my videos. Like I've never asked them to be like, okay, here's what we're gonna go do. So that's why like I'm really hoping when the website launches and I ask them to go review their car, they're like, of course, I'll do anything for Kelly. Like she helped me buy my car. But I've taken my time with that. And I've never, and this is advice that I got early on, like you're not wasting time if you're investing in your audience. So like it's okay to just, you don't have the latest and greatest thing, that's fine. Do you have an engaged audience? Great, you have something. And I sometimes think creators and entrepreneurs, go dark too early to go like work on their thing, and then they come back and they don't have the audience anymore. And I'm just
Yeah.
taking my time, but I wake up every day and I'm like, how can I engage the audience today? And it doesn't always look like building giant websites. Sometimes it looks like, doing a funny video, or like getting their opinion on this, or like amplifying another mother's review of a car and getting them to continue to, I mean, the word is engaged, just to stay engaged with my website or with my content. Sorry.
I know. I think if people can take away one thing, that's the thing to take away because I don't know. Let me ask you this. Do you feel like that is just something that you understand innately, like as a person, as a creator, as an entrepreneur? Because I try to explain that concept to people and it feels like I'm talking to a brick wall. There's
Yeah.
so much focus on strategy, product, systems. What you just said, I'm just like, yes, that is
No,
what works.
it's a good, I could say a lot about this topic as well. I think that sometimes creators, and it's hard not to, like anyone with an audience, like you start to get inside your head really quickly. And like I said, I think I'm very self-aware, and I realize that people actually, it's not that they don't care about the journey, but like I always get an ick when creators are like, sorry, I've been missing. It's like, no one noticed. No one noticed you were missing. Like, or like working. I mean, even like, I just like to deliver. I like to deliver. I like to entertain. Like I'm just, that's what I'm here to do. I think that people have too much confidence in their audience that they're going to sit around and wait for them. Or in the sense that's, now I'm kind of contradicting myself. I agree with you. I think people overcomplicate it. I think show up and make entertaining content and you'll be successful. I always tell people like the whole point of the algorithm is to keep you hooked on your phone. So like if your content's not performing, it's because your content sucks. And like that's a really hard truth for people to understand. But like there's no hacks, there's no time of day to post. The algorithm's only job is to keep people on their phone. So the good news is anyone can be successful. The bad news is not everyone likes to hear that their content sucks. And I've had content that sucks. And I'm like, okay, that flopped. That didn't happen. Let's move on to the next one. So I would say if you're not having success online, it's truthfully no one's fault but your own. Your content's not good enough.
Yeah, I think that's what people need to hear. But I almost think that like it's easier to focus on the systems, be like, oh, the system's a problem, my website's a problem, my email is a problem, versus like, no, I'm the problem.
Really
No
fast.
one wants to hear me.
We have a quiz. We have our weekly email. I don't have a content calendar. I don't have a strategy. We post a YouTube video whenever we get around to it. We do podcasts twice a week. I have no idea what I'm talking about next. I have no idea what my reel is going to be next. I kind of like let the audience lead me that way. Like, and I think it's good. I think you want to make sure your content is feeling always super relevant and stale. Like the days of like Tip Tuesday, like those are over. Like those are just over. Like you don't need to have a schedule anymore.
No, no. And I think is that your style? Like, is your style just like wake up today? I'm gonna do this content. This is what I've been hearing people talk about. It just like pops into my brain. This is what I'm going for.
Yeah. Like, oh, okay, I had a consultation. We were talking about, best electric cars to do 3 across in. That's kind of interesting. Maybe I'll do a reel about that. Okay, I've got, the Kia Sportage is my press car this week. Maybe I'll talk about how that could be a good car for teens. Oh, the Consumer Reports list just came out. Maybe I'll do a reel about that. Maybe I won't. Like, oh, I'm cooking chicken stroganoff for dinner. Maybe I'll talk about that. Like, just,
Yeah.
oh, I got a new car seat. I'll talk about that. Like, I just kind of I really have no strategy.
There is I interviewed a behavioral scientist from UC Riverside. He runs their behavioral science program on this podcast, and he was saying that like variation keeps the brain engaged like more than anything else, and that's what I'm hearing as you're saying that. It's like maybe that's part of the equation of engagement.
I think it totally is. And that's something that me and my sister talk about a lot when we're doing because I think the content that takes up the most amount of time is our reels, because the reels or the TikToks, like that's what grows the audience. The story content is truthfully where we monetize a lot. Like we make our money in stories, we grow our audience in reels. And then our YouTube content is just more like kind of our evergreen, like that's going to be there for whenever you're finally in the market for a 2025 Kia Telluride, then you'll find that. But the reels, we always feel like we don't want to have a style. We don't, because people will see like, hey, I'm Kelly, I'm going to review this car, scroll. So like if we want to talk about a car, we're always trying to do a different hook, a different style. Sometimes we're funny, sometimes we're serious. And I think that it helps keep it fresh.
Let Let me ask you this. Does any aspect of the content creation feel exhausting to you?
Honestly, no.
That's
I
great.
really love it. Like, and I tell people all the time, like, from the day I started 6 years ago, I've let my stories on Instagram expire maybe 5 times. Like,
Wow.
it's just, it comes very naturally to me. I love talking to the camera. I love creating content. I never really considered myself a creative person. I have horrible handwriting. I can't paint, can't sing, can't dance, can't do any of those creative things, but I can always come up with a new way to talk about cars. So it's just been a very good fit for me. And I'm not the creator to tell people like how to get there, but I think if you have it, um, and you're willing to put in the work. I mean, it's not that it's not work. Like, of course, there's days where I wake up and I don't totally feel like it, but I don't personally struggle with that. I love talking about, and I think it's also helpful when you have a niche because like I'm always just trying to find how can I make what I'm talking about relate to cars, relate to being a mom, relate to mom cars. And it allows me to be creative within boundaries, which I think is easier because like a blank canvas is stressful. Like at least I have like, at least the page has a car on it and I can kind of go from there. So I think if you have a really good niche, um, it can really allow you to be creative.
I totally agree with that. I think the most successful creators, yourself included, are the ones where it's like, this is my thing. This is what I talk about. And then there's
Yeah.
so many more people than you would ever imagine. Like
Well,
when you choose something.
people are scared to niche down because they think it like will take people away from their platform. But like, I just don't think that's the case because there's people I follow on Instagram who I literally have nothing in common with, but I think their niche is interesting because I don't know it, because it's not in my daily life. You know what I mean? Like, I follow, shoot, I have to think of some examples, but like, I follow this guy who loves orca whales. Like, I don't give a rip about orca whales, but like, now I do, but like, I think that's interesting because he's always relating his content back to orcas.
Yeah.
So, like, I follow him.
It's something about the passion, I think, too.
Yeah.
Like people like when somebody else cares a lot about something. I was just talking to my co-founder actually about this. We were skiing yesterday or 2 days ago. We were on the lift and we were just like, people don't care anymore. Like it
You're
feels
so
like people don't care
right.
anymore.
Yeah.
And
You're so right.
if
Well, yeah.
if you care, then that's like what engages the audience. Like they just want to
Yeah.
see that you care about something. And it could be orcas. Even if you don't care about orcas, they care about orcas. It's
Yeah.
cool.
And it keeps me up to date. Like, I wish I could think of some more examples, but I follow a very, like, my feed is not very car related. I actually don't like to follow a lot of other car creators too closely because I find that it kind of hinders my creativity because then I can only think of like their stuff. So I don't really follow car accounts. I follow literally any other account under the sun. Interesting people.
Yeah, interesting people. Interested people are interesting. I think that's like a quote that somebody told me at some point, and it's
Yeah.
like that's really good. Like if you're interested in things, then people will want to follow you, and it is all about that engagement, like you said. Like if I wish that was like how people thought about it, and it's just not so much of the time with entrepreneurship. Maybe it's like the way the media portrays entrepreneurs. It's always about this product or this service that revolutionized the world, but really it's just about like who are the people that I'm trying to engage in? What do they care about? And if I
Yeah,
can talk about the things that they care about and I also care about it, then it creates this great vibe. Great vibe.
totally.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thanks so much for doing this. This is like incredible insight into your world and how you think about things. It's the carmomofficial.com, right?
You can just go to the car mom. We acquired that
Oh,
domain
you.
kind of recently. Yeah,
Oh,
I had to pay,
nice.
but now we have the car mom and we have car mom and we have the car mom official, and they'll all take you to my website.
Congrats. That's so hard. That is
It
so
was so
hard. I know this.
so like the car mom official. I chose the handle before I chose the website, and I got the
Yeah.
trademark. Like I did it all, so I was like, okay, I'm the car mom, and then I was like, oh, I
Yeah.
need a website. Couldn't get the car mom. So I got the car mom official. Bummer. Like what a buzzkill. And then probably 3 years ago, I bought the car mom. I think for like $1,200, which was cheap. And then I just bought car mom for a lot. I'm not willing to tell you that number, but I bought car mom for a lot. But like I was like that one I kind of felt like They kind of pinned me in a corner, but it's fine. Now it's fine.
Yep. Hey, that congrats. It's so the number of companies we are still tryinteract.com because somebody, I don't know who owns interact.com for the last 14 years and refuses to sell it.
Oh,
Um,
that's so funny.
so yeah, so I feel your
Well,
pain.
that's been a big hurdle. That's been a hurdle for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. Okay, but on the other channels you're at Car Mom or the Car Mom?
Karma.
At the Car Mom. All the channels at the Car Mom and the website the Car Mom, or Car Mom official if you would like. Thanks again, Kelly. This is awesome. I really appreciate you doing this interview.